So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on One Take Live. Welcome to season 3. I have a t shirt on that I'm going to stand up a little bit because I really want you to see this shirt. It says, "Not teaching Black history doesn't change the fact it happened." And if you live here in the state of Florida, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching from somewhere else, we're going to tell you what's going on here. We have tonight one of the most outspoken and on point representatives from the Florida House, and that is none other than the Angie Nixon, representing District 13 there. So that encompasses Duval. So welcome to One Take Live tonight, Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Monica. I am, I'm not good. Just being honest with you, I am upset, angry, and hoping that we can actually make a change for the better due to this horrific tragedy that occurred on Saturday.
And we're almost a week from that tragedy, and what we're talking about, again, if you were under a rock, we understand, but we know that we've made national news for about the last 2-3 years here, just being a Florida resident. But what Representative Nixon is referring to is that a simple Saturday at the Dollar General, all right, 3 Black people murdered, one outside. This gunman, a crazed gunman, shot into the car 11 times with an AR-15. He allowed some people to come out of the store, but he went in there, a man on a mission. The manifesto he left behind, the chief of police there said, was just filled with hatred. We lost 3 Black people. The interesting thing, though, Angie, and this is why I wanted you on tonight, because you were so adamant about the money the governor then wants to pour into Edward Waters, because that was where the gunman first went. But a quick thinking security guard steered him off that campus. And I want to know that man's name. He needs a cash app fund or something just to say thank you, bro, because he stopped a massacre.
Yeah, for sure. And so I am upset because I feel that the governor lit the match and fanned the flames that caused this. And by that, I mean his hateful rhetoric that he's been spewing, the cultural wars that he's been creating due to policies. Look, we saw who he was when he first ran for office against a Black man for this governorship. He ran against Andrew Gillum, and during a debate, he said, "Don't monkey this up." Like, that illustrated who he was and what was going to come from that. And so then my first legislative term, which was in 2021, we were coming out of 2020. COVID has just started, and there was the brutal execution of George Floyd. And after that brutal execution, there was a majority peaceful protest that took place all across the country. And so those protests led to policy changes. It led to folks getting elected from the community organizers and activists, because people were tired of the status quo. And so the first bill of the next legislative session, right after those majority peaceful protests, was a bill that Governor Desantis and the Republican-led legislature in Florida pushed, HB1, known as the anti-protest bill. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to silence the voices of folks who were hurting and who could only take out their frustration by marching and by rallies, which we know is the foundation of this very country, based on, the Boston Tea Party, things like that. And also, it is what led to the civil rights movement, protesting and marching. And he didn't want basically Black people to have a voice. And so they pushed this bill, which initially had it so that they can they can run over someone in the roadways if they feared for their lives. But this is a very subjective bill in general, because now you can say that people are congregating and they're about to commit a riot, and so I'm gonna arrest them and charge them with a felony. So that's one policy that he pushed. And now he has this stop woke agenda that he is uh, going around the country talking about, when we know that's nothing more than a racist dog whistle. Stop woke. This is where Florida goes to die. That is just a term that is devaluing Black people. We know that you just want to remove woke and replace it with Black people. And look, if Florida is where woke or Black people go to die, that's evident by what just took place on Saturday. And not only that, he didn't stop there. He went on to now he wants to say that Black people who were enslaved benefited from from being enslaved. And then me and Representative McCurdy, who represented y'all's area in Central Florida, we had to lead a peaceful protest last year because the governor unconstitutionally removed Black congressional districts in our state. And he has a record of anti-Black policies when instead he should be addressing issues like this 9,000 educator shortage across the state, and the majority of kids that go to public schools, the Black children go to public schools more than anyone else, basically, right? And so that's an issue he should be addressing. He should be addressing the high rising cost of property insurance. We just faced a hurricane this past few days, and there are people who are underinsured or were not insured in general, because instead of helping them and passing common sense legislation around that, he gave a $3 billion bailout to insurance companies. We are now the least affordable state to live in. We have the highest inflation rates, and our car insurance rates are 2 to 3 times the national average. And like, those are the things that he should be addressing instead of creating culture wars where he's attacking Black people. He's attacking women's bodily autonomy and the right to choose. He's attacking members of the LGBTQ community. He's attacking immigrants. He's using our taxpayer money to go to other states to get immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and to send them to sanctuary cities because he wants to own the liberals, because he cares about pandering to a base of voters and scoring cheap political points as opposed to helping Floridians. And then he comes here with blood on his hands and says he's going to give us $1.1 million for Edward Waters College. First of all, it wasn't his money to give to us in the first place. It's the people's money. And the fact that over the past, 5-6 years, he has been using the people's money and only using it for rich corporations, as opposed to ensuring that all Floridians have the opportunity to live healthy, prosperous, and safe, and that their communities are fully resourced. He's done just the opposite. This man does not care about Black people. He does not care about marginalized communities. He simply cares about his political ambitions of becoming president of the United States. And I, for one, am going to do my damnedest to make sure that he does not win.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There you have it. Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. She is one of the most outspoken, one of the most truth to power speaking Black women that sits in that Florida House of Representatives. And I am so sorry that Travaris McCarty did not get a chance to come back up there with you.
I am too, Monica. I am too.
Listen, y'all were a dynamic duo, and I have a picture of you two sitting in the house on the floor, really, doing it peacefully. Let me go back to the fact that changing the voter districts, that's when all of this really began. It began before that, but that changing the district so that um, we don't have an opportunity to really place someone in that house in Tallahassee that really has our heart of hearts on their mind. He changed all of that, and he changed it for a reason. And the thing that I always hear one of your colleagues say is that we are Republican led, and there's but only so much we can do. But there's got to be some way to stop this vitriol, this hatred that is spewing from this man's mouth, that is trickling down. And I got to tell you, that's what led that white guy, and his name is Ryan Palmetto, 21
We don't
years
even need to
old.
speak his name, Monica.
This
It's
is
not
right, and
even.
and I could take that back, but I wanted people to hear that name though too. That's it is almost okay to take aim at a black person. It is almost okay to shoot us down, and not even literally, but just figuratively with our education, the book banning. He just fired 28 librarians today. You know, what happens to the kids who that is their only means of being able to have solace when they study? Those librarians meant something to those kids. They were welcoming to those kids, and many of them are immigrants, okay? But they're residents here, their kids are. And I think that this is horrible, and I need to know, this is why I wanted you on, what can we do to help you and your colleagues who are the sensible ones make change possible?
Yeah, so first of all, like, I believe in people power, right? I am a community organizer through and through. And the way you stop that is we got to go back to the grassroots. What they did, our grandparents, some of our parents, what they did back in the civil rights era, they organized. They came together, they agitated the community around these issues. Like, I want people to know, like, I'm speaking out. I'm not trying to grandstand. I don't care about the cameras, but if I am able to illustrate what has been happening here and the fact that we have not been getting our just due here, what we deserve, what we're owed, because we are taxpayers here as well. If I can get that message out and cause people to think like, oh my gosh, like, she's right, and I have every right to go down there and to ask for a meeting with my representatives or with my governor. Like, I want people, y'all, we work for y'all. Elected officials work for y'all. It is not the other way around. I don't understand how some elected officials feel as though like they are mightier than thou, or they just like on this pedestal. That's not the case. We have bosses. Y'all are our bosses. Right? And if y'all don't like what we do, y'all can get rid of us, y'all can fire us, right? But y'all can also call meetings with us and say, hey, I don't like the way this is going. And so it's important for us as a community to not just email, not just make phone calls, but show up and voice your concern and what you want to see change. But we got to bring more people with us. We also have to talk to people year round and let them know that everything in our lives is political. From whether or not we have clean air to breathe or clean water to drink, i.e. Flint, Michigan, i.e. Jackson, Mississippi, right? How our children are educated, that's political, right? Whether or not we have streets that are paved or with potholes, all types of things, after school programs, that's political, right? They get money from the government oftentimes, and the government gets money from us. We're taxpayers. That is our money. And so we have to demand what is ours and demand that they start pushing out a people's budget of things that we want and a people's agenda of things we want to see change. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, unfortunately. And they are banking on us being apathetic and scared and not saying anything. But if our vote didn't matter, why do you think they spend billions of dollars to suppress it? billions of dollars because they know it's powerful. And so it's my hope that through all of this, I am able to galvanize people, and the deaths of these folks are not in vain, but it is a catalyst for true
agitate the community. We may have lost Representative Nixon, but that's okay. That is the one thing that we must do. Agitate, you guys. You know, I spoke with someone not too long ago, and I asked, how come no one's really voicing opinions about some of the things that are going on? And their response was, he'll take away a seat, or he'll take away this, or he'll take. But isn't that why we elected you guys in, to speak up for us? Don't be afraid of that seat. Do what is necessary. One of the things that she left us with that is so important, we have to demonstrate humility. Act like you know. You do know what's going on, and you do know how this is all affecting us. Representative Angie Nixon said that what just happened in Jacksonville should have never happened. The money that the governor now wants to give to Edward Waters, that should have been done a long time ago. Security is necessary. Those babies are so afraid. They need mental health care almost already, and school is just beginning. Well, I got to tell you back, we're going to welcome back Rep. Nixon. We'll put you up in just a second. There you are, sis. So
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well, love. I can hear you well. What we've been talking about tonight is just something that needs to be on the minds and hearts of everyone, young, middle-aged, and old, black, other folks who care about what's wrong. Everybody has to galvanize. You said agitate the community, and I was mentioning before to the audience how when I asked one representative, they're pretty much afraid of speaking out. Someone asked me today at the radio station, Monica, are you afraid because you have people on who speak up so feverishly against? I said, we're speaking up our rights against what's wrong. It is our right to speak up that way. I need to share with you that I think that it is an amazing thing that you are doing, just standing up for what is right, for what you know to be right. In these last few moments, let's make a real strong plea to our younger brothers and sisters who are really going to make a difference if our elders are afraid, or if some of our other elected officials are afraid. Let's speak to the ones that are your age, Angie, and just, I don't give a you know what. How you looked at that man at the rally the other night, oh my gosh, I called somebody and I said, I gotta that's the same sister that sat down with Trevor. Y'all, and that's how we got you on tonight. And I just thank you. But that stare is gonna come up in just a moment. You have heart, and that's necessary. A lot of politicians today, it's not there. It's not there. It's there in their pleas for our vote, but then they lose sight and they lose the drive, they lose the fight. How do you stay so revved up and ready?
So I lost my cousin to the school to prison pipeline, my favorite cousin, and his son is my daughter's favorite cousin. I made a vow to myself that my daughter wouldn't lose her favorite cousin to the school to prison pipeline. And so the reason that I'm so revved up and I just refuse to give up hope is because of our kids. Our kids mean so much to me. Like this is my state. Like I love my state. I love my city. I love my neighborhood, which is why I can be so critical. But I know that like we deserve happiness. We deserve to experience joy. We deserve to no longer just survive, but to actually thrive and to flourish. And just the idea and the thought that our kids can go to grocery stores and not worry, or that they can walk down the street with a hoodie and some iced tea and some Skittles and not worry about being accosted. Like, We deserve that. We deserve not to have microaggressions where people say things like, "You speak so well." Like what you trying to say? Right?
You know how long I've been hearing stuff like that? I know.
And so, yeah, to think like a world where our kids are just living freely, like that's all I want. I don't want my daughter to have to fight this same fight. The fact that my 16-year-old has been to marches and protests and organizing rallies and workshops with me, she shouldn't have to experience that. There were people whose children are so privileged that they don't, and I want the same for ours. And so, like, that's why I'm
stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. The reason why I vote to this day is because Ruth May took Carol and me, my sister and I, to the voting polls with her every time there was an election. We didn't know what we were doing. But we were there. Every time there was a meeting at the Audubon Ballroom where Malcolm X was murdered, we were there. Every time there was anything political or social at the schools, she showed up for PTA. See, you have to do what you see. And again, I'm saying we're not seeing all that we need that's really going to rev us up. And it's going to take you. Don't lose your voice. Don't lose your voice. Don't get tired. I loved when the congressman came down and spoke. I was in that audience. There were lots of people there. And one of the words that he used is that we have to agitate, we have to really communicate, and we have to strategize our community. So I'm inviting you back anytime you want to do a One Take Live with me. This is home for you now. I will see you on the radio. My program director hates when you say see you on the radio, but she'll be with me on the radio on Monica May's Point of View this Sunday. We have attorney Monique Worrell with us as well, and we'll figure out what she's going to do next. That's something else that should have never happened. How are you going to take my vote and just toss it away? And just say because you don't want someone in position, you're going to take her, remove her. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But Angie, I thank you so much. Don't stop being who you are, baby girl.
I'm not.
I'm telling you, make sure that you stay true to who you are and continue to take your daughter with you wherever you go and tell her to bring some friends along too, because you're setting the stride for the next generation.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on with us tonight. Florida State Representative Angie Nixon, much love. Peace.
Bye.
Be safe. Yes. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This is season 3 now of One Take Live. I'm Monica May. Have a wonderful night.